for all.
Senator Elizabeth Warren says that she supports Medicare for all because medical costs are among the top reasons Americans go broke. Washington Governor Jay Inslee on women's health.
It should not be an option in the United States of America for any insurance company to deny women coverage for their exercise of their right of choice.
And Senator Amy Klobuchar criticizing President Trump for his international policies.
He has made us less safe than we were when he became president. So what I would do is negotiate us back into that agreement, is stand with our allies and not give unlimited leverage to China and Russia, which is what he has done.
The Democrats in the first debate mostly agree. They held their ground. Fox's Ed Henry with a look at the lineup for Thursday night.
This is very wide open after night number one. Night two, you've got the big guns. You've got the front runner, Joe Biden. You've got Bernie Sanders, who ran a strong race in 2016 and is not going away easy this time. Mayor Pete from South Bend, Indiana. Pete Buttigieg, who has really surprised a lot of people with his rise, but is having trouble back home in South Bend right now. How does he respond? And then Kamala Harris, big state of California. That's been moved up to Super Tuesday. Her home state may have a much bigger role, bigger say here. She's an African-American woman who's trying to sort of energize the Democratic base.
That's Fox's Ed Henry, and I'm Carmen Roberts. This is Fox News.
Hey, welcome to this Subway ad for the new club collection. How do you want it?
I'll take a book club.
Absolutely.
So, last week we sunk our teeth into Subway's meaty new release, the Steak Club.
I didn't finish it yet.
Oh, not again, Sandra. This week, it's the new Southwest Chicken Club, also by Subway. No spoilers, but there's a tasty twist.
Jalapeno cheddar bread and guacamole?
Sandra, get out. Subway, make it what you want.
Good ending.
Limited time only at participating restaurants.
We have some really great home loan programs, but did you know we have great business loans too? Every day we're working with companies to purchase equipment, to buy or build properties, or make tenant improvements. We offer letters of credit, working capital, and term loans, and we make all of our credit decisions here. Commercial loans, commercial banking from Bank Pacific.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender, FDIC, Viva Bank Pacific.
The Senate approves a bill to help deal with the humanitarian crisis at the southern border.
Less than 24 hours after the House approved $4.5 billion for humanitarian relief at the southern border, the Senate passed a $4.6 billion measure on a wide bipartisan 84-8 vote. Now Republican and Democratic leaders in the House and Senate must negotiate a compromise. The House plan that passed nearly entirely on votes from Democrats would include strict provisions on detention facilities for migrants. The Senate measure includes funding for the Pentagon and Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Neither bill allows money to be shifted for a border wall or additional detention beds.
Fox's Jared Halpern. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says lawmakers will try to reach a compromise bill this week. Retail workers stage a walkout in Boston over border policies. Workers at online retailer Wayfair upset the company selling $200,000 worth of furniture to a government contractor that runs a detention center for migrant children in Texas. An abortion ruling in Kansas paves the way for an unusual argument against the death penalty.
When the Kansas Supreme Court ruled that the state constitution protects abortion rights, it cited the section which guarantees the inalienable right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Attorneys for 5 death row inmates say the decision means they can't be executed because capital punishment violates their inalienable right to life. Kansas Attorney General Derek Schmidt telling AP the ruling opens the door for a wide range of new litigation, the justices ordering prosecutors and defense attorneys to submit additional written arguments. Kansas has not executed anyone since the Supreme Court reinstated the death penalty. Steve Rappaport, Fox News.
And longtime Chicago TV newsman Russ Ewing dies at age 95. He had such a credibility with people on the street that more than 100 suspects surrendered to him over his career. This is Fox News.
When it comes to power and performance, nothing compares to Dodge. And right now at Cars Plus in Mighty, you can save thousands on many Dodge vehicles in stock during our Dodge Performance Days. Like a new 2019 Grand Caravan SE, save $4,250, or save $6,150 on a new Durango SXT. Looking for more power? Take home a new Charger SXT Plus today for only $37,689, or save over $7,000 on a new Challenger GT. Get more power and performance at Cars Plus in Mighty during Dodge Performance Days. Cars Plus, driven by you.
Discover a new Galaxy. GTA introduces the new Samsung Galaxy S10 in 3 different sizes. The Galaxy S10 comes with cool new features like Power Share that allows you the ability to share your battery power with other devices. Or you can capture a wider world with its new camera featuring an ultra-wide lens for when you need to take pictures of the whole family. And with GTA handset payment option, you can take home a Galaxy S10 for $0 down. GTA, we start with you.
Welcome to Tall Tales with Bob Klitzkie, the only show on talk radio where common sense is a lot more common. Phone lines are now open at 888-TALK. That's 888-8255. And now, The Point proudly brings you Tall Tales with Senator Bob Klitzkie.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. In fact, perhaps it should be enhanced rather than infringed. Well, there's an Alabama car dealer who thinks it should be enhanced. I've got a story here from the Bearing Arms website by Tom Knighton, and the title of it is Alabama Car Dealership Offers Shotgun, Bible, and a Flag with Sales. I live roughly this is what Tom says, I live roughly 5.5 hours from Chatham, Alabama. That's a long way to go to buy a car. But with the offer from a dealership there, it might be hard to pass up making the trip if I were in the market for a new gun. While companies are making a lot of headlines for taking anti-gun positions, it's hurting them too. One Alabama car dealership went another direction completely. An Alabama car dealership is gaining national attention for a new promotion. In one of its latest commercials, Chatham Ford is offering customers a 12-gauge shotgun, a Bible, and an American flag for every vehicle new or pre-owned purchased. While this isn't classified as Gun Pride Month celebration, we've talked a little bit about Gun Pride Month. Tom says we should make July Gun Pride Month. Have a Gun Pride parade on the 4th of July, where every one of our gun folks here on Guam marches down Marine Corps Drive carrying his weapon on his shoulder. Well, this isn't classified as a Gun Pride Month celebration. I like it just as if it were. It's definitely in keeping with the concept, that's for sure. The truth of the matter is that a local dealership in Alabama, which is about the reddest of red states, yeah, it is. It's a good state. I was fortunate enough to be in Alabama in February. In fact, I took a trip down to the Redneck Riviera, which is the name that Yankees apply to the Alabama Gulf Coast.
Sounds beautiful, sir.
Yeah, the Redneck Riviera. Yes, Alabama elected a Democrat for Senate, but that was more of a matter of who the Republicans nominated than the state turning blue. In other words, the dealership knows its customers. While it's unlikely to make people decide to buy a car or truck, cheaper to buy a shotgun outright, it will make some people more inclined to go to this dealership if they're looking to buy. After all, if you're in the market for a new vehicle and you like guns, why not get a free gun with your new ride? Especially if it's a pickup truck and it's got a gun rack in that window there in the cab. He said, I'd do it. Coupled with a Bible and American flag, the dealership is sending a rather strong message on what it believes to be the backbone of this country. And besides that, of course, those are three things that Democrats hate: Bibles, guns, and the American flag. I suspect a lot of potential government customers are going to agree, making this a brilliant move. Of course, that's not to say it's universally celebrated. Some of the comments on the original post couldn't be any tackier if you tried. Such poor taste. Of course, taste is everything. Though how it's poor taste to offer a free product incentivized sale of a high-priced item is never mentioned, especially since the purchaser still has to pass all background checks. Wouldn't expect anything less from the least educated state in America. Oh well, I'm sure Alabamans are going to sob themselves to sleep over your scorn, random Democrat. That says random citizen. I just ad-libbed that one, Real Joe Cruz. This is exactly what's wrong with America. Buy a Ford, get a gun. Why not buy a Ford and make a donation to a veterans group or gun violence victims cause? Why not? If they don't offer that, I would not buy a car from them until they do. Maybe it's because the dealership's customers already donate to veterans groups, and most, quote, gun violence victims causes are gun grabber groups. That's a good phrase, gun grabber groups. I got to remember that for my Second Amendment, warn them up from now on, that I will keep you informed of what the gun grabber groups, the 3 Gs, are doing. Are gun grabber groups who would disarm them. And I'm sure Chatham Ford is so upset you won't buy a car from them. Oh yeah, Alabama, number 44 on education, proving why. This is, another comment. Once again, the uneducated card. You'd think they could come up with something better. Of course, they're assuming if they were better educated, they'd suddenly embrace gun control or something, which is absurd. I know too many who support the Second Amendment who answer to the word doctor to buy into that crap. And you know someone who answers to the word Bob. Right, Real Joe Cruz?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. To Chatham Ford, you guys keep doing what you're doing. Sell cars, sell trucks, give guns away if you want. Either way, you're showing everyone why this country is so great. Good idea down there. Now, those Alabama boys, good idea. Okay, let's see what Jimmy has to say about guns, Bibles, flags, and cars.
Well, you know what they say. Machetes don't kill people. Micronesians do.
Say again, Jimmy?
Machetes don't kill people. Micronesians do.
Mike.
Hey, okay, I got 3 things, and maybe I have time for one more.
I could barely squeeze you in, Jimmy. Go ahead.
The mayor's council, they started a place for victims of domestic disputes.
Okay.
Domestic violence.
Yeah.
They call it Tempura House. They only serve lightly battered women. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for calling, Jimmy. Yeah, Jimmy has a way with words, doesn't he, Real Joe Cruz?
Yes, he does.
Yes, he does. All right. Okay, so we've dealt with 2 really important parts of the program, the Second Amendment and Jimmy. So from Jimmy, we go to Jimmy. Jimmy Courtney, Press the Meat. Turn it around. It's Meet the Press. That's my very clever invention. It's a backwards, bilingual play on words to tell you that we are now going to the Meet the Press part of the agenda for today, where I am unmercifully critical of the editorials of the two daily newspapers, scanning each page for grammatical errors and errors in usage of the English language, checking out their facts as I go, looking for awkward sentence structure, and trying really hard to find something that makes sense, is provocative, edgy, topical, that I can sink my teeth into. And when I find it, I give the editorial that bears those delicious words the coveted blue star. Here's my blue pencil. And when I affix the blue star to one of those two editorials, depending on your location in town, you'll be able to hear the champagne corks popping in the editorial boardroom of the winning newspaper. Lately, the prize, the coveted blue star, could have gone by default to the Post most of the time, because the Daily News would rather run something from Gannett, USA Today, etc., that bashes Donald Trump than put a real editorial about local matters on its editorial page. Today, somehow they managed to actually write an editorial about Guam, and it ain't bad. Here it goes. Our view: show where money for higher GovGuam budget will come from. Almost every agency that has come before senators in the 35th Guam legislature has asked for a bigger budget for fiscal 2020. The Leon Guerrero Tenorio administration fiscal 2020 executive budget request forecasts $963.3 million in revenues, an increase of $10 million, or 1.05% over fiscal 2019. Most of the higher budget requests seem to be sensible. The judiciary wants $36 million, up from $30 million, to hire more people and implement electronic monitoring of pretrial defendants. The Guam Police Department wants $37.8 million, about $3.7 million more than fiscal 2019, to recruit at least 40 more officers, increase stipends for the civilian volunteer police reservists, and purchase more police firearms, radios, and other equipment. The Department of Rev and Tax wants $14.8 million, an increase of $3.3 million, primarily to pay for $2 million in real property valuation required by law every 5 years. The administration has also said it's committed to timely payment of tax refunds, to lift the freeze on GovGuam employee salary increments, and revive the rainy day fund. Here's the question: where will the money come from? The glaring question is, where will the money come from to pay for the higher fiscal 2019 budget? Guam's general fund ended fiscal 2018 with a $10.4 million deficit. In other words, we spent 10 more million than we actually collected, putting GovGuam just $251.7 million from its $1.1 billion debt ceiling. And University of Guam economics professor Maria Ruine has said Guam's economy will decline slightly in 2019, estimating a 1% drop. This doesn't take into consideration, of course, all of the money that will pour in from off-island to save the tree of knowledge up at Anderson. That's probably going to be a couple $1 million right there. I just ad-libbed that in, real Joe Cruz. the economy didn't grow, or it either didn't grow or decline by up to 0.5% in 2018, Maria said. So what is the source of all this extra revenue being projected by the Leon Guerrero Tenorio administration? And given that the administration is struggling to come up with money to pay refunds on a piecemeal basis this year, how will Adelup manage to live up to the promise to timely pay tax refunds by setting aside $125 million before any other spending is authorized? Rosy financial predictions are nice, but this community needs elected officials to be practical and fiscally responsible. We want more officers, more efficient courts, fully funded schools, and more. But we need to know how GovGuam will pay for it all. I'm going to repeat that line that I like so well. This is what I would like to see. An effective, efficient government operating within the law on at least a break-even basis. So, an effective, efficient government providing basic services within the rule of law on at least a break-even basis. So we don't spend any more than we take in, but we're providing all the basic services. We're not spending any money on going out looking for hitmen, for abortionists. We're not spending money to send 100 people to Honolulu for FESPAC. We're spending it on basic government services, police, fire, hospital, schools. Maybe that's enough. Okay, so that's the editorial in today's Daily News. There was an interesting companion piece in the PDN, which I didn't bring along with me. But they went into the same sort of analysis and breakdown that the editorial just went through. So pretty good editorial there, Guam Daily News, Pacific Daily News. Then we have the Post. Okay. Guam Governor Lourdes Leon Guerrero met with the activists. And what we learned from her meeting with the build-up activists on Tuesday is that she won't back down, even when facing a group that didn't agree or wasn't pleased with what she was trying to explain. So I talked about that a little bit yesterday. Talked about how some people not only disagreed with the governor, but were insulted. And of course, I spotted that as someone who went to the University of the Left School of Debate. In a debate, it's not enough just to say, I disagree with your position, and I'm going to advance my position. That's not enough. You also must say, I disagree with your position, and I'm offended by it, or it insults me. Now, this is what somebody named Shobin McManus said during the meeting yesterday. Shobin McManus was one of the hecklers at the back of the room, and having watched that on TV and read about it in all of the media coverage, I decided to study chiropractic medicine a little bit. Have you ever been to a chiropractor, Real Joe Cruz?
Yes, I have, sir.
Yeah. One thing, I go to a chiropractor from once in a while, and I got to say this about him. No matter what, he's got my back.
That's for sure.
Yeah, so I don't know much about the science involved, but I know what a person can do to wind up with a sore back. And what it involves is axe grinding. Now, perhaps axe grinding isn't a part of everyone's vocabulary, so let me explain. Axes have blades, and you sharpen an axe blade with something called a grindstone or a whetstone. And once upon a time, people would have these big round whetstones, maybe 2 feet in diameter, and a device with pedals on it. You'd pump the pedals, the whetstone would spin around. You would put the edge of the axe up against the stone, and it would sharpen your axe. It's called grinding an axe. Okay, but grinding an axe also has a metaphorical meaning, and this is what it means: working for an ulterior purpose or toward a selfish end. That's what axe grinding means when you use it in ordinary speech. What's he doing? What's his problem? Well, he's just got an axe to grind, right? Why does he have such a hard time getting along with his boss? He's really got an axe to grind with his boss. So I could offer some advice to those folks that were at the meeting with the governor. If you spend too much time grinding an axe and you've got a big chip on your shoulder, all you're going to wind up with is a very sore back. So, axe grinding. And that's what I saw when I watched that video. I saw some axe grinding. I saw some people with chips on their shoulder, talking about things that didn't have any relationship at all to what the purpose of the governor's discussion was, bringing in war claims and all kinds of stuff that was completely extraneous to the discussion, but it was something that obviously the speaker or the heckler wanted to grind an axe over. Okay, so back to the editorial. Having dispensed with my free advice there, no charge for that, just one of the added benefits of being a part of the Tall Tales International listening audience, a little free chiropractic advice. If you spend too much time axe grinding and you've got a chip on your shoulder, all you're going to wind up with is a sore back. Okay. What we learned from her meeting with the build-up activists on Tuesday is that she won't back down, even when facing a group that didn't agree or wasn't pleased by what she was trying to explain. So displeased that they actually heckled her. Let me see. Wait a minute. Talking about heckling here. Let me see what Jimmy's got on his mind. Hi, Jimmy. I forgot about you there for a minute.
Hey, everybody else does. You shouldn't be ashamed of it.
Okay.
Anyway, did you hear about the epidemic of broken arms on Guam?
What happened, Jimmy?
There were two strenuously patting themselves on the back.
Wow, a couple of politicians engaged in patting themselves on the back, huh?
Hey, let's not talk a couple. Let's talk about more than a couple.
I guess 13 in the recent case, 13 senators patting themselves.
Now, you must understand, our beloved fellow Guamanians have elected them. And no nepotism, no cronyism.
Okay.
And they make laws you have to obey.
True enough, Jimmy. Sometimes, Jimmy, I think you've got a mind like a steel trap.
I can't make a rhyme about that.
Okay, well, thanks. Thanks for...
Just keep yourself alive.
Okay, thanks again, Jimmy. All right. Jimmy's call number 2. Number 2 of what, 5? Probably. Okay. Okay. As the island's highly elected official, Governor Leon Guerrero had various options for how to react during a meeting with a group of environmental wackos. Oh, no, that's not what the editorial said. I just ad-libbed that, too, Real Joe Cruz. Cultural and pro-Guam independence activists. I think it'd better be just to say pro-independence activists. Some of the activists talked over her, attempted to shout her down. They repeated their points numerous times. There were some raised voices. There were some angry voices. I'm just kind of ad-libbing here to fill in some of the blanks. The governor could have cut the meeting short. She could have walked out. She could have handed off the meeting to her senior aides who were present during the meeting. She could have just let the activists say their piece, and she could have just kept her responses short to avoid prolonging the meeting, which is the easy route for some politicians. A little smoke blowing. Well, yes, Mr. X, I really thank you for coming forward and expressing your views here, and I will give them the deepest consideration. But I have to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day and coming down here and telling us how you feel. Thank you so much, Mr. X. Yeah. And, using really clearly distinguishing the difference between talking and making noise with your mouth. Instead, the governor single-handedly explained in the meeting that stretched for a few hours why she's not going to do what the activists are asking her to do, which is to call on the Department of Defense to completely halt the development of the live fire training range complex on Anderson. This firing range is an integral part of the U.S.-Japan agreement to relocate nearly 5,000 Marines from Okinawa to their future Guam base. This agreement has been in place for years. Leon Guerrero passionately explained to the activists that it's for reasons of national security, including Guam's, that she supports the military expansion on Guam. She mentioned that Guam faces potential military threats from China and North Korea, nations that have made public that our island is within range of their missiles. On Wednesday, after she held the meeting, it became public that China's lone military aircraft carrier had recently passed by the Philippine Sea near Guam. Yeah. They only have one aircraft carrier, and they didn't do a close-up of it because from the distance you can't see that there are holes in the hull, and there are big oars sticking out of those holes. But nonetheless, it is an aircraft carrier. Leon Guerrero went on to say, I do support the military buildup. I don't support it for economic reasons. And the Daily News doesn't cover it, but one of the other news outlets does. She said, I don't support it for economic reasons. It's been blown out of proportion. Yeah. So that's one thing that is apparently really important to this administration, proportion. Yeah, or perhaps by dwelling on her use of that phrase, by doing that, maybe I'm blowing it out of proportion. But let's take a short break here.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
Business travel just got easier. Take your data plan with you for only $10 a day to all 17 Data-to-Go destinations. Never worry about additional data roaming charges when you go where your business needs you. The US, China, Thailand, and so much more. Have the assurance you need to check emails, surf the web, and stay connected. Call 688-2677 today to make sure your account is Data-to-Go ready. Docomo Pacific. Better together.
We now return to Tall Tales with Bob Klitzkie, soaring over the confusion with his superpowers of truth. call 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Is this our Carl? Yeah. Okay, our Carl. I'm going to do Zemi Cotney here. At least finish up the post, and then I'll pick you up, okay? But right now, Real Joe Cruz, you and I are going to do a reenactment. There's a section in this story that says, when Lou says, I do support the military buildup, I don't support it for economic reasons, I support it for national security reasons. Leanne Guerrero said through interspersed no's. Okay, so when I give you the signal, I want you to say no, 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 and I want it loud and emphatic, okay?
All right.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1. I do support the military. I do support the military buildup. I don't support it for economic reasons. I support it for Yeah. So now I know what it feels like to be the governor, and now I can see why she doesn't want a whole lot of pressure, why it's necessary to meet behind closed doors. Right, Real Joe Cruz?
Right. That's a tough peanut gallery.
Yeah. I have to compliment you, though. You did so well with a complicated script.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
What did you have to say?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Good job, Real Joe Cruz. So what she said was interspersed with no's and concerned faces. This is the Daily News. Kikifinu English na itzi atan baba na atan baba toru itauto. Yeah, they're saying concerned faces among members of an audience that had just spent the last 2 hours articulating their reasons for opposing the military buildup projects for cultural and historical reasons. And once again, my crystal ball, I got to keep saying this, when this new legislature was sworn in, I said, this is an anti-military, anti-Marine Corps, anti-buildup group. But they're not going to come out and say that. They're going to use cultural and environmental arguments to attempt to stop the buildup. Where was I here? Not everyone on Guam is expected to agree with the governor. Certainly not the host of Tall Tales. But what we learned from her meeting with the build-up activists on Tuesday is she won't back down, even when facing a group that didn't agree or wasn't pleased by what she was trying to explain. That was a moment when she showed leadership. Well, I have a different gloss on it myself, but I do like the way the Daily News put this all together. And, you know, so one of the tricks of being a good leader is to spend some of your time trying to catch people in your organization, catch them doing something right. Something that doesn't dawn on the Daily News very often, but it did dawn on the Post this time. So I agree with what the Daily News says about the budget, and it's close, but this time the Blue Star goes to the Post. This brings the score up to 121 for the Post to 43 for the Daily News. So what do you think about that, Carl?
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I'm not a betting man, you know, but if I was, I would have bet that Governor Leon Guerrero would have folded under the pressure. I've been critical of her administration before and some of the decisions they made, but I was quite surprised. I wasn't expecting it, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, you may have a little different view of it after I get into my explanation.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm interested.
Okay.
At least outwardly, it seems to be a positive thing. I would have wish he would have said not written off the economic growth aspect of it. I wish he would have said, her primary reason was, military security, and in addition, economic growth and economic stability, because that's what means so much to so many tens of thousands on the island. That's how we bring home food to our families and pay our bills.
Once upon a time, Carl, I gave a speech out at the university about what I consider is a couple of the most important words in the English language that people should choose very carefully as they try to explain something. And the words are but and and. Now let's test this out. I'm all for the military buildup, but it's got to be done responsibly. That's scenario one. Here's number two. I'm all for the military buildup, and I want to see it done responsibly. Big difference with just that change in one word, correct?
Yeah, you're going to have to explain it more. You're a expert.
Well, listen again. I'm all for the military buildup, but I want it done responsibly. Second time. I'm all for the military buildup, and I want it done responsibly. When you use the word but, it tends to negate the first clause of the sentence. It tends to overpower the first clause. When you use the word and, it tends to supplement the first clause.
I see what you mean, yeah.
Yeah, so if she had said, if the governor had said, I'm for the buildup, and I'm for it because of military security. And I also think that it's important to consider the economic aspects. But she didn't do that. Actually, she went the other way around. In one of the news articles that I reviewed of her speech, she said that the economic benefits of the military buildup she must have this on a in her word on a micro on her word processor. She said, "Well, that's blown out of proportion." So whenever one makes a pitch to the governor, one must be very careful to not exaggerate, or whatever you say will lose its value because it was blown out of proportion. So she said that, and then day before yesterday, when talking about the economic aspects of the buildup, she said, "Whoa, I'm not interested in that." She said, "That's just going to be a bunch of carpetbaggers coming in here." The companies that come, the construction companies that come in to do the construction, etc. Carpetbaggers. So not a real clear message, but I'll get to that a little later on. So you're saying that you were surprised and happy that she came out with the position she did, Carl?
Well, at least she was somewhat positive. I was disappointed in that she seemed to be writing off the economic aspect, because to me that is of equal importance. That's how we, so many thousands of people that work on the bases support their families. That's no small thing. And this would be in addition to that. There should be a significant increase in revenue for potentially many hundreds, maybe over a couple of thousand families.
I can give you some insight on that, Carl. Maybe she was taken in by Tello Taitigwe's rap. You remember Senator Tello Taitigwe in this era of openness, first openly pro-abortion governor, first openly homosexual lieutenant governor, Tello Taitigwe, first openly dingbat senator. Remember what she said? Well, if that's the way it is, it's too bad, because this is about culture. So maybe Lou was persuaded by what Tello Taitigwe said.
Yeah, I guess it remains to be seen if she eventually folds under the pressure. But from all the people I'm speaking to on the outside that aren't involved in this, this group. I mean, everyone I've spoken to is for the economic growth that this means for individual families that are looking for ways to support themselves and their families and not go on the dole.
Yep. Well, I've got some heavy-duty analysis coming later on in the program, Carl. So I don't have to suggest that you stay tuned. I know that you will.
Yeah, no, I definitely will. I'll be hanging on every word, and I will be, based on what you said, I'll be watching very closely what she does, because we are dealing with a politician. So she may have just been playing politics, and and I keep forgetting that I'm 60, and the older I get, the less I pay attention to politicians' words, and the more I try to look at their actions. And I think I got swayed by her words, and I forgot about that. You got to watch what they actually do. That's much, much more important than what is said.
So you're 60, huh, Carl?
Yes, I am.
I was 60 once myself, I think. It's been so long ago, I'm not sure. But thanks for calling, Carl.
Thank you for allowing me to chime in.
Okay. Okay, I've got Jimmy on line 1, and I've got Diana. So let's see. I'm so young and you're so old. How does that go, Real Joe Cruz?
I'm not sure, sir.
Paul Anka? Diana?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The song. Yeah.
The song, yeah. Hello. The program starts at 4, Real Joe Cruz.
It's been a long time since I've heard it.
Yeah, me too. But anyhow, since Jimmy, since you've already had 2 rides on the Ferris wheel, I'm going to go straight to Diana. Good afternoon, Diana.
Hi, this is Deanna Palmer.
Hi.
Hi. So I appreciate all the conversation about the military buildup, but I have a different subject. Is it okay if I change the subject?
Well, it's okay, but I may cut you off in mid-sentence if I think it's required in the interest of my international radio listening audience, Diana, but take a shot.
Okay, so I got back from a vacation and I checked my power bill. So I had everything. I had 2 ACs just set and my water heater turned off. And somehow or other, my daily usage is higher while I was away than it was prior to my trip. And I noticed that my power bill, of course, because of the daily usage, is significantly higher. So I have a curiosity and a suspicion, perhaps something changed at GPA. I have other people that I've spoken with that say the same thing. It's like they're using the same amount of power, but their power bill is consistently going up. And we know it's a fuel charge. But how is it that my usage is going up if I'm actually not even home?
You know, what you're saying, Diana, is absolutely shocking. But now just eliminating all the possibilities, there have been so many home invasions. Could it be that some miscreant snuck into your house and was using the power while you were gone?
No, sir.
No.
Everything was secured.
Did you say that you had attempted to contact someone at the Power Authority?
No, I just wonder if they changed an algorithm or something on their smart meters. Something has changed because my usage is suddenly 5, whatever it's like. It was at 17.5 and now it's at 21.
Wow.
In the interim. And it's like, how is that possible?
Good question. You're the second person that's raised that on Tall Tales. I had a poster on Facebook who kind of asked the same question a couple days ago. I didn't do anything with her post.
Getting our new power bills, and when you really delve into your power bill, and it shows you what your daily usage is, and I got new air conditioners. I've done what I can, and while I was away, it actually increased. So I'm very curious as to how is that possible.
I understand the issue, Diana. So I guess my first suggestion would be don't go away again. Save money on your power. I really don't know what to say, and I don't know how to deal with this in the Tall Tales format. If you were able to call a responsible person at GPA and then come back tomorrow. We'll see if we can't put it on the card somewhere. Is that fair, Diana?
Well, and I'm just curious if others are experiencing the same thing.
Well, the way to do it is Diana Palmer versus. How about Diana Palmer versus Joey Duenas? Of course, you won't get anything out of him because nobody told him about it.
Yes, and if there was a programming change or algorithm or whatever they call it with the smart meters, don't they have to let us know about that stuff?
That would be a good business practice, Diana. Diana, I'm right up against the 1650 break. Thanks for calling, and maybe you get it back to us tomorrow, okay?
I'll see what I can do tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
We know too well the inconvenience of not having power after a storm. You worry about food in the freezer going bad. Nights get hot. It's hard finding comfort when going to sleep. These are realities. But with solar and battery storage from Micronesia Renewable Energy, these realities can be a thing of the past. The solar works during the day and the batteries power your home at night. Call 632-2613 to see how solar plus battery storage can make life a little more convenient. MRE, the smarter choice.
Hey, it's Mom. Somebody forgot to thaw the chicken, so meet us at Chili's for 2 for $25. Oh, and congratulate your sister for making the basketball team. She's thrilled. Love you. See you at Chili's.
Enjoy 2 full meal combos for $25. An appetizer, 2 mouth-watering entrees like our crispy chicken breast, smoked barbecue quarter leg, or smoked jalapeno cheddar sausage. Served with corn on the cob and french fries. 2 bold combos for $25. A full-on meal deal available nightly for a limited time. Together, we Chili's.
So here we are. We've got about 8 more minutes here to that big halftime show that we all look forward to every day. John, I know you're looking forward to that halftime show, so maybe you could be the last talker before halftime.
Thank you, Bob. You run a great program, by the way.
Thank you.
I'd like to piggyback on what Deanna was saying. I live in Barragata Heights, and in the last 3 months, and we basically are very consistent on our utilities. We went from about $250 to $320 to close to $400 this month. We checked with our neighbors, and they've also seen a marked increase in their power bills. The question I'm asking is are other people on the island experiencing the same increases in their power bills?
Good question, John. Good question. I suspect that folks out in our international radio listening audience are looking at their power bills and their meters right now saying, oh, is this happening to me? I just heard it on Tall Tales.
I know that the weather has gotten warmer. Maybe we're using that air conditioner more, but these are significant increases. We don't use, and I talked the neighbors that we've talked to. Basically, the increases have been the same as what I have experienced, and I'm talking about 4 people. So this isn't just the guy next door.
Okay. Well, you've done a small survey, right, John?
Yes.
Have you called GPA and inquired into this?
Yes. I've inquired, and they said, well, go to this website, and if you want to pay $25, we'll have somebody check into it. My solution, or what the wife and I discussed it, and says, well, we'll let it go a couple more months and see what we'll do then. But in the meantime, and using your form, I wanted to, if other people on the island are experiencing that and it's significant, then I'm concurring with Deanna a little bit in that she says, did they change a procedure? Did they change a software? what are they doing down at GPA?
Good point, John. Well, let me do this. Let me summon the Tall Tales posse and ask them to ride out into the plains and report to us what they would judge as an abnormal increase in power bills within the last couple months. So raise your right hand out there in our Tall Tales posse. I here deputize all members of the Tall Tales Power Patrol posse to go out and find out why power bills are increasing. And when you do, post it on Facebook Live right here on Tall Tales. How does that sound, John?
That sounds fantastic. Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome, John. Thanks for bringing that matter to our attention. You know, if there's anything that the Tall Tales posse is interested in, it's justice for ratepayers, right, Real Joe Cruz?
Absolutely, sir.
Yeah, that's one thing that we just have to keep going on. Okay, I'm going to the card, and today's card, I've got Mike SN versus Lou and Tina, maybe. And maybe I'll just come back to the card after I've got a call here from R. Tom. Let me just go through the card, R. Tom, and then I'll pick you up. So Mike St. Nicholas versus Lou and Tina, maybe. Linda Uggan versus Patrick Lujan. Lou LG and the Hecklers. Lou LG and the Carpetbaggers. Lou LG and Joe Arnett. Lou LG and versus Arnett in proportion, and Independence Lou versus the U.S. That's the one you're going to want to stick around for. Independence Governor Lou Leon Guerrero, perhaps the last governor and the first potentate or commissar of the Socialist Chamorro Republic of Guahan. Okay, our Tom, how's it going, Tom?
Hi, can I put my hand down? You told us to raise our hand.
Yeah, right. You can put your hand.
I can put it down now, right?
Yeah, okay, Tom.
Okay, I'm one of your posse members, remember?
Absolutely.
Anyway, I just don't understand what's going on with all of these power bills that's going up, even if the people are not at home. If I was going to go on vacation, I would turn off my power meter. I mean, my main power switch. Eat up all the food in the refrigerator, and then afterwards shut off the main switch and then take off. That's what I would do. And before I turn off my main power switch, though, I would take a reading of what my power consumption is at the time when I shut it off. Then when you come back, see if it has changed. Then that'll be the way to catch what's going on with it. Somebody is coming into your house and turning on your main switch and using your power, and then they detected that you're coming back already, then they leave your house. That's what I would do if I was going to go on a vacation.
This is what we would refer to as Tom's self-help remedy, right, Tom?
Yeah. Because, even if I don't want to shut off my main switch and leave my refrigerator on, for example, because if I'm only going to be gone for 2 or 3 days, then so be it. Leave your main switch on and leave your refrigerator on, but take your meter reading and go out there and read your meter and jot it down. And then when you come back, it should not change. Well, why would it change? Well, it will change a little bit because the refrigerator and your devices, electronic devices, were taking up power, but it should not change drastically.
Well, these new smart meters, Tom, you don't even need to look at your meter. You can go online and get all that information. But I was wondering when the Real Joe Cruz was going to open up the Tom line. Now I know. So thanks for calling in and sharing your self-help remedy with us, Tom. I got a break for the big halftime show.
Okay, I'll talk to you later.
Bye, Tom.
The Point is KUSG, Hagåtña, Guam, 93.3 FM and 104.3 HD3.
Debate 1 and counting. I'm Carmen Roberts, Fox News.
I think every candidate got a chance to articulate their vision.
Democratic Party Chairman Tom Perez talking about last night's debate of 10 presidential candidates in Miami. Many of them took aim at President Trump, accusing him of favoring the wealthy and corporations over the middle class.
When you've got a government, when you've got an economy that does great for those with money and isn't doing great for everyone else, that is corruption, pure and simple. We need to call it out. We need to attack it head on.
Senator Elizabeth Warren from the stage in Miami during the NBC debate. Former HUD Secretary Julian Castro says passing an equal rights amendment would help lift pay for women who often get paid less.
You know, we have to do this. If we want to be the most prosperous nation in the 21st century, we need to make sure that women are paid what they deserve.
Healthcare and immigration, more than any other issues, led the debate, but President Trump was also a target. Former Texas Congressman Beto O'Rourke says the president should be punished for obstructing the Russia investigation.
If we allow him to get away with this with complete impunity, then we will have set a new standard, and that is that some people, because of the position of power and public trust that they hold, are above the law.
Former Maryland Congressman John Delaney, though, says most Americans don't want that.
They want to know what we're going to do for health care, how we're going to lower pharmaceutical prices, how we're going to build infrastructure, what we're going to do to create jobs in their communities.
Round 2 of the NBC debates with Democrats Thursday night with 10 more candidates, including former Vice President Joe Biden and Senator Bernie Sanders. President Trump aboard Air Force One headed to the G20 summit in Japan, tweeting one-word review of the debate: boring. This is Fox News.
So what's the deal? Are you still paying for the right to have your checking account at your bank? Well, at Bank Pacific, we think it's our privilege, not our right. That's why we offer My Green Free Checking, where your monthly maintenance checking fees are zero. That's zero. And it comes with a free Visa check card and monthly green e-statements. My Green Free Checking. Bank Pacific today. Because having you as our customer, that's our privilege.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender, member FDIC. Viva Bank Pacific.
This is Ronnie. Ronnie is about to break his piggy bank.
Come on, piggy bank.
Ronnie wants to upgrade his smartphone.
And this piggy's gonna help me.
If Ronnie had signed up for GTA's handset payment option, he could have selected a new smartphone with an affordable monthly plan.
I could have what?
Exactly. Sign up for HBO at GTA and don't break the bank.
I'm sorry, piggy bank.
Terms and conditions apply. GTA, we start with you.
A warning from North Korea this morning is telling South Korea to stop trying to mediate between Pyongyang and Washington. The North also repeating a demand the U.S. must work out a way to salvage the stalled nuclear negotiations by the end of December. A little boy thrown off a third-floor balcony at the Mall of America, still in the hospital.
In an update posted on their GoFundMe page, the family of the 5-year-old boy, known only as Landon, say he remains in intensive care after 15 medical procedures, surgeries for multiple broken bones, and the removal of his spleen after he was grabbed by a crazed man and tossed over a 40-foot-high balcony at the Mall of America April 12th. The family asking for prayers and for help on medical bills. They also said in statements in court that they forgive the man who admitted to the attempted murder, for which he was sentenced to 19 years in prison. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Hogwarts fans, get your magic wands ready, or maybe your magic credit cards. The first in a series of Harry Potter e-books comes out today.
J.K. Rowling is releasing 4 new ebooks set within the magical world of Harry Potter beginning today. All 4 will have the preceding title, Harry Potter: A Journey Through. Then each book focuses on a different aspect of magical history: divination, magical creatures, potions and herbology, and charms and defense against the dark arts. The latter 2 being released today. The books are not prequels or sequels to Harry's world, but the ebooks were made for fans to explore the the rich history of magic that the Harry Potter series brought to life, and will each focus on a class taught at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Michelle Polino, Fox News.
And Dow futures up 86 points after the Dow slipped 11 points yesterday. I'm Carmen Roberts, and this is Fox News.
GPSI Guam is a professional services company that is a registered contractor for the federal government. They're an SBA, 8A, and Hub Zone certified SDVOSB, providing program/project management, administration, technical support, logistics, and commodities. Find out more about GPSI and how they can help you today. For large prime companies, contact GPSI if you need assistance in meeting your small business subcontracting goals at 477-3058. They'll be happy to assist.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
So, a wonderful halftime show. No surprise there. Every day we have a wonderful halftime show. The marching bands, the drill teams, the cheerleaders, sort of like the Dallas cheerleaders, the sword swallower, the fire eater, the synchronized card sections up in the stands. It's truly a great show. So now we embark on the second half of Tall Tales. I got some really interesting stuff coming up here. I have a limerick sent in by the poet laureate of Tall Tales. I've mentioned the card. I've got Mike San Nicolas versus Lou and Tina Maybe. I've got Linda Uggan versus Patrick Lujan, and then Leon Guerrero versus a series of opponents: hecklers, carpetbaggers, Joe Arnett and Proportion. And then I've got Independence Lou versus the United States, causing me to ask the question, would Lou like to be the first commissar of the Socialist Republic, Chamorro Socialist Republic of Guahan? Well, you'll have to stick around and listen to find out the answer to that. But right now, I have a limerick here that Real Joe Cruz is not in his cage right now, so I can't do my usual Rush Limbaugh imitation. But you've heard it so many times about how I don't like to talk about myself, but this time I have to. Well, I'm going to read this limerick. Oh yeah, and also this afternoon, in addition to the other exciting things I mentioned, I've got Jack holding on line one. So we're going to get to Jack in just a minute. So. This is from Andrew, and the title of it is Humble Host. And the question is, how do we describe Bob? And here it goes. A host with the utmost civility, a mind that probes with dazzling agility, a constitutionalist avowed, of what he's most proud is his astonishingly impressive humility. What a great limerick. It was just so on point. It just captured Real Joe Cruz, you didn't hear that. Let me go through it one more time. This is Andrew's latest, okay?
Okay.
You know, I don't like to talk about myself, right?
But it's about you.
Yeah. How do we describe our Bob? And here it goes. A host with the utmost civility, a mind that probes with dazzling agility, a constitutionalist avowed. Of what he's most proud is his astonishingly impressive humility. Probably ought to make that a part of the daily calendar, right? Bob versus humility.
I like it.
Yeah. Okay, so with no further ado, I'm going to push this button here and have someone tell me that I don't know Jack. Right, Jack?
Hi.
Hi.
In there, Bob. How you doing?
Good.
Yeah, I was just listening. I heard Diane Palmer speak a little while back about her power bill. And, yeah, you did mention that she can go online and do a history search on when she peaked and stuff like that and when her consumption is. But everybody's power bill went up. It's not. I think it's because of the billing cycle. It's 33 days. It's one of the longest billing cycles of the year. As like compared to February, it's probably the shortest billing cycle and probably our most cheapest power and water bill.
Hey, Jack?
Yeah?
Do you know how many months have 28 days?
Oh, all of them.
Good call, Jack.
Yeah. So anyways, I'm going to let everybody in, and I told this many years, and this is like, I guess, since 2008, so we're coming up to a decade. If everybody really wants to lower their power bill immediately, what they should do is right now every residential paying customer is paying $34.78 for their first 500 watts of use.
The lifeline rate, Jack.
Yes, that's what they call it here. We really should call it a baseline rate because the lifeline rate you need to qualify, and nobody's qualified for this. You don't submit paperwork to qualify for the lifeline rate. That's the basic rate that GPA charges every residential user, regardless of how much you make. So if you really want to lower your rate, someone should, like Diane, should go to the next PUC meeting and ask that the first 500 watts be bumped up to 1,000. And so let's say and that will lower your power rate for the next month and the next previous month and the next previous month, and it will lower everybody's power rate.
I got a better idea, Jack. Let's do away with the baseline rate because we're subsidizing some users at the expense of others. So if everyone paid the same rate for electricity, it would tend to lower the rate that the electric charge.
Well, that wouldn't work because there are different rate structures. So like the hotels pay a different rate structure.
Well, I'm talking about residential. Just do away with the lifeline rate for residential.
Yeah, and then you can't do that because I think there's a FERC guideline. I think there's a Federal Energy Resource guideline.
No, Jack. No, you could.
Well, Bob, let me finish. Let me finish because
even though I had a better idea, Jack.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just finish.
You're tough. Go ahead, Jack.
No, nobody's subsidizing anybody. They created this tier system. Nothing's being subsidized. They artificially created this tier system. There is nothing in what the 500 watts is based on.
Well, Jack, if you burned
high school,
if you burned 500 and I burned 1,000, how much would I pay for the last kilowatt that I bought compared to how much you paid for the last kilowatt you bought? I'd pay more.
Well, Bob, this is what I'm trying to tell you, that these are artificially put in. There's no reason that there was a rate structure, but they put it there.
I know that.
So what I'm trying to say is that that yes, it's called a lifeline rate, but it should really be a baseline rate. But to get around it it's not that everybody pays the same, because then you have residents paying one rate, you got commercial paying another rate, you got government buildings and government institutions pay.
Once again, Jack, I'm just talking about the residential rate.
Well, if you want, I'm just letting you know how to do this. I'm letting you know how to do this because there's the Mercedes-Benz generator doesn't kick in after you go past 500. It's the same generator. There's nothing new that goes on. So until we move to peak demand in which there's more power into the consumer, we have to deal with the hand that we have. We need to talk about practicality and how to solve a problem. So I just gave you a solution right here. The solution is to raise the base rate or the lifeline rate up to $7.50, which, by the way, is what California FERC did when the fuel crisis hit in 2008. They moved it from $500 to $7.50.
I can't think of a worse reason for doing something than that California did it, Jack. But go on.
I'm giving you.
I know you're telling me
how to lower your.
Keep telling me, Jack.
and this is how you do it. You just ask.
Okay.
For an emergency.
I got it. Increase the baseline rate to $7.50. Right?
No, to 1,000.
To 1,000. Okay, I got it, Jack.
1,000. So whatever the remainder, whatever you said, everyone's power bill will go low. It doesn't matter whether you pay at the end of the month or you're at pay as you go.
I understand, Jack. You've made your point. Okay.
Yeah. So,
but who's going to pay for this?
Who's going to pay for what?
For changing the baseline rate to 1,000.
Why would somebody pay for that?
Well, when you sell a given amount of something and you lower the price for some of it, somebody's got to pay for it.
No, you're cost shifting.
Okay, and who? Okay, you're not. It's not who's going to pay for it. You're cost shifting. Who are you shifting the cost to?
The bill ends up with GPA. All right, the bill ends up with GPA.
So they pay it out of their own money?
They don't have any money.
That's my point, Jack.
What they need to do is they need to prioritize. And this will only last for maybe 3 months until someone comes up with a formula in which would raise the rate somewhere along the line. So that's why it's just a temporary solution. It's a mathematical problem. It's a way for consumers to achieve some sort of let's say, control for the next 3 or 4 months.
Okay, so Jack, your solution to Diana Palmer's problem is Diana should go to the next PUC meeting and petition the PUC to change the lifeline rate from 500 to 1,000 for 3 months. Correct?
No, I mean just that, just to 1,000, not for 3 months, just to change it.
To change it, okay.
Move it up to 1,000.
Anything else, Jack?
Huh?
Is that it?
No, and probably her power went up. It's because of the billing cycle, because this is one of our longest billing cycles this month right here at 33. And another reason is, she might be right. There might have been a spike somewhere, but the best way to do is just to get her history of, what was the power consumption when she was gone. When I was gone and I got my power bill, it was extremely high, but I had to guess that I had to bring in not my itinerary, I had to bring in my plane ticket to prove that I was off island. And what they did is what they're doing right now on back billing. They look at your history and they figure out what your consumption would have been if you were gone or you're off island, and they do an average of the days.
Okay, so Diana, take your bills to GPA. And take your plane ticket to GPA and show them, Jack. Hey, Jack. Hey, Jack.
I'm not lying to you.
Jack. Hey, Jack. Hello, Jack.
Sure.
Yeah. Can I say something?
Sure.
Yeah. So what Diana needs to do is take her plane ticket and her power bills to GPA. And then I'm thinking of, once in a while when I see something that needs to have the legislature deal with, I draft a bill and submit it as a suggestion. So I'm working on this bill in my head that everyone who goes off island should check out with GPA and check back in with GPA when they come back, so that that the Diana Palmer problem doesn't happen while they're off island.
Yeah, but it could be a malfunctioning thing because when I was off island, that's when that big storm hit and it fried a lot of meters.
Yeah.
In our neighborhood, it could be an assortment of things. So she needs to look at her history online and see if there was a spike, to see if there was an increased consumption, to make sure that she didn't leave something automatic like her aircon on when she was away, because these have been very hot days, and her aircon could have been on automatically while she was gone. There's a lot of things that could attribute to a higher bill, but the main reason I'm thinking is because this is one of our longest billing periods.
Okay, Jack, I got you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And here's a suggestion. Like I said, somebody needs to go to the PUC.
I think we got it, Jack. Yeah.
All right, but nobody's paying extra for anything, and it just comes off their computations when they go in for budgeting, for pay raises, for capitalizations, you name it. So they make an adjustment further down the line. But it's about time that the baseline or our lifeline be lifted, because it hasn't been lifted since I was in.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go to the PUC and ask them to do away with it, Jack. But thanks for calling anyhow. Okay.
All right, Bob.
Wow. I had Kellis, but okay. Call back, Kellis. I'll pick you up right away. While I'm waiting for Kellis to call back, I'm just going to take a peek at Facebook here. I've got Charita Renee Titano Wilhite, who says, Bobby, watch the attitudes change now that China has publicly displayed the naval capability to come within the boundaries of Guam. And they're crying about a tree that's got plenty of babies on Rhoda. Okay, if I got Kellis on the line here? Yeah. Good afternoon, Kellis.
Hey, I'm glad you didn't hang up again.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm thinking if you're going to change the baseline, what they'll end up doing is if instead of being 30-something, it'll be $100 or what, you know what I'm saying? But in all actuality, in going with what the rest of the Democratic Party is doing, I think it should be free power for all, power for the people.
Good point, Kellis.
Education and everything. Why should we pay for power?
Yeah. And then the second alternative, why isn't the federal government paying for power?
Yes.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, that's what it should be. I think the federal government should be paying all the power bills on Guam, and not only that, they should pay every single person on Guam at least $1,000 a day for that while they're here.
Good point. Good point, Kellis. I knew I could count on you. I knew I could count on you for a quick solution. Thank you very much.
There, and it will pay all of our bills.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kellis.
Bye.
Yeah, Kellis is a man of few words. He just comes right to the point, right? Okay, so let me go back here through Facebook again. And then Jesse Limtiaco says, will Senator Bob attend? I don't know what I'm supposed to. I'll attend Tall Tales every afternoon at 4 in the afternoon. What a public service that is. Real Joe Cruz. Jimmy. Hey, Jimmy.
Yeah, just a joke.
Go ahead.
You know, it's a terrible, terrible thing to get old.
You know, Jimmy, getting old ain't for sissies.
But if you're lucky, it'll happen to you.
If you're lucky, it'll happen to you. Yeah.
Apparently already has.
Okay, good point, Jimmy. It happened to me. I'm glad it did.
One more joke.
Yeah, well, you know, if you could ask the other Jimmy to be quiet back there. I'm talking to two Jimmys here.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I think you got your radio on, Jimmy. Okay, well, go and send no more, Jimmy.
I don't know if that's possible. But anyway, if your nephew Jack was up on the roof and the ladder fell down Would you help your nephew jack off?
Good talking to you, Jimmy. Yeah, thanks a lot. All right. Okay, so going back to Facebook here, where I have a little bit more control because the words I see in Facebook have to go through my brain before they come out of my mouth. Okay, so let's see, where was I here? Hang on just a second here. Yeah, Jesse Limpiaco, will Senator Bob attend? I don't know what I'm supposed to attend. But as I said before Jimmy called, I attend Tall Tales every afternoon at 4. And in my mind, that is a tremendous public service. What do you think, Real Joe Cruz?
I believe so, sir.
Yeah. It certainly brightens up your life, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, then Nate horns in and says, I'm not a racist, but, he's going back to my comparing the use of two coordinating conjunctions, but and how they can really change the meaning of what it is that you're trying to say, the connotation. Jose Martinez, the military security benefit is most definitely connected and leads to economic security. It's hand in hand. Not sure why Governor Lou LG thought they'd be separate from each other. Well, maybe it's because she doesn't like carpetbaggers. Being you Civil War buffs, Lou doesn't like carpetbaggers, but then scalawags never did they? You remember that from your American history, Real Joe Cruz?
Vaguely, sir.
Yeah. He didn't have me for a teacher, that's why.
That's true.
Then we got Jose Martinez again. Same with my bill. And then Jesse Limpiaco says, the point isn't GPA. And then Joe Cruz, GPA is ripping us off. Look into it. Yeah. Well, in order for it to fit into the Tall Tales format, we have to find out who the two combatants are. Yeah, this is, I'm not Dear Abby. I don't give life advice to the lovelorn. And I'm not, I'm not an investigative reporter here. I can't tell you, I can't give you an answer as to why your power bill has gone up. If you can tell me what you think and you can find somebody who's responsible for it, let me know, and that's what I told Diana, we'll put it on the card. Boy, is that a quick way to get results or what? Yeah. Gary Schoenhals, mine is way up too. Jesse Limpiaco, the point isn't GPA, as you were. Jesse Limpiaco, don't know. Tall Tales is an arm of GPA's customer service department. You want to complain about GPA? Well, you got the wrong number, partner. Don't call 888-8255 if you want to complain about GPA. And let's see, I got Tom back again. Okay. What can you tell me, Tom?
If you ask Joey, he'll tell you I cannot answer you because it's a personnel matter.
There you go. Yeah, it's a personnel matter.
Anyway, it sounds like Miss Palmer's problem is when she was away and her meter wasn't reading any consumption, did GPA assume that she had a defective meter and they backbill her? Could that be the case?
Yeah, I suppose it could be.
It sounded like that, right?
Could be.
And because there are a couple other people that were calling in on the radio and K57 had the same problem.
Uh-huh.
They said they were away. When they came back, the power bill was almost double, they said.
Yeah. I don't know. These are...
If that's happening, we got to get on CCU about this.
Well, there's...
What I was gonna...
one of my hobbies is getting on the CCU, but I got to have something to get on them about other than their reticence to make public records available.
But I like to back and forth with that anyway. I was having fun listening to you guys. But anyway, I always thought that all residences have that 500 kilowatt hour lifeline or whatever they call it.
They do. Everybody, there's no means test. You don't have to show that you are, a person of low income, and your first 500 is cheaper. And the point I was trying to get across to Jack is that if you make it a lower rate for the first 1,000, then the money to make up for that lower rate has to come from somewhere else. And my question was, who's going to pay for it? And Jack said, well, nobody's going to pay for it. It'll just be rate shifting, which, really made me feel better. Anyhow.
You mentioned something about we are subsidizing people over that 500.
Well, that's
subsidizing anyway.
That's the way I would characterize it, because if I burn 500, if you burn 500 in a month and I burn 1,000, your 500th kilowatt is cheaper than my 501st kilowatt. So who's picking up the cost for your lower rate? I am, because I'm paying a higher rate. If everybody buys the same amount of something, and one person pays more for it than the other, then the guy who pays more for it is subsidizing the one who pays less for it. There's just no getting around it.
You reminded me of the movie Paper Chase.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
Movie about lawyers going to school.
Yeah, it was a good movie, yeah.
Yeah. And the students went in with their heads full of mush, and they came out thinking like lawyers.
Yeah, well, I know some that came out with heads full of mush. I know some that went in with good brains and came out with heads full of mush, but thanks for calling, Tom.
Do I have a remedy, though, for that beauty salon that I went in? Because I wasn't satisfied with the performance. I went in and I came out as ugly as I was when I went in.
Yeah, I don't know. Go to the Consumer Counsel at the Attorney General's office, or go to Dr. Fagangood, who does plastic surgery. One of the two, Tom.
I was expecting to be beautiful when I came out. It was a beautiful salon.
Yeah, well, you're listening to Tall Tales. That's the best I can offer on short notice, Tom.
All right, well, talk to you later.
Thank you.
We know too well the inconvenience of not having power after a storm. You worry about the food in the freezer going bad. Nights get hot. It's hard finding comfort when going to sleep. These are realities, but with solar and battery storage from Micronesia Renewable Energy, these realities can be a thing of the past. The solar works during the day and the batteries power your home at night. Call 632-2613 to see how solar plus battery storage can make life a little more convenient. MRE, the smarter choice.
Have you ever made a big mistake in your job or career, or with investing, for example? I mean, a really big mistake. How much was that mistake worth? I'm Jerry Roberts, and at 7:20 a.m. on The Ray Gibson Show, we'll pursue big mistakes and their price tags.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point at GuamTraining.com. Tune in every weekday morning at 7:20 for The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts, brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and First Hawaiian Bank on 93.3 The Point.
Wrigley Field, up until I think it was 1988, did not have lights, Real Joe Cruz.
Well, you don't say.
Yeah, no night games at Wrigley Field.
Cool.
I suppose it had something to do with the power rates in Chicago. But then when Chicago Electric kicked in a lifeline rate for baseball parks, the Cubs decided, let's install lights and let's play some night games, right?
Nice, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we wound up here. Jesse Limtiaco, didn't you know Tall Tales is an arm of GPA's customer service department? Good call, Jesse. Good call. Marianne, this was a large discussion on some of the base Facebook pages, and you are not alone. So many reported large increases in GPA bills over the last month. Well, let me put my tinfoil hat on here, okay? What horrible conspiracy is responsible for this increase in rates? As I like to say, cui bono? Who benefits? Yeah, well, I've deputized the Tall Tales rate police posse to go out and investigate, so we'll see what they find out. Marianne, even with those factored in, and then Jesse Limtiaco wasted 10 minutes talking about power. Yeah, Jesse likes some of the political content here on Tall Tales. And then Dusty Whitfield, I pulled up our bills on the website where it shows you the bills from years prior up until current, because I seem to remember this happening to us previously. Turns out our power bill is right about the same as it was last year. May and June are within a few dollars of what they were this time last year. Our power bill went up $200 both last year and this year at this exact same time. What an interesting wave. And no changes made by us. None, in fact. During our lower periods, we had visitors. Kind of seems planned, but that's just my opinion. Well, let's work on our conspiracy theory here. The gnomes of GPA are over there throwing levers and twisting on dials, saying, let's really crank up the power for June and July this year. We need the money. And then Gary comes back and says, privatize. And he also lists the rate structure for the first 500, the so-called lifeline rate, above the lifeline rate. And then the problem is the LEAC, which is more than double the regular rate. That's to take into consideration the increasing cost of oil. And then Dusty Whitfield, a couple extra days change for the month causes our bills to almost double. So let's pretend 28 days costs roughly $350. So add 2 days to that, and we're paying $520. Are we paying overtime? I mean, what? This guy makes no sense. And what's he doing on Tall Tales? We have the most sensible radio listening audience in the Western Pacific. And then Gary comes back and says, it's a joke. And then Patrick Maloney says, I don't think anybody uses less than 500 kilowatts a month. And that's my point, because everybody uses more than 500 kilowatts. So those of us who use more than 500 are subsidizing those who get closer to 500. Joe Cruz. Here's what Joe Cruz says. Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more, no more. That would make a nice song, wouldn't it? Real Joe Cruz?
It would. Those are great lyrics.
Yeah. Boy. Good going, Joe. Good going. Maybe you could write a limerick or two. Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more, no more. Yeah. Just shows how much talent collects every afternoon at 4 here on Tall Tales, huh? And then Jesse says, still on GPA. And Jesse's getting impatient. Gary Schoenholz, there were 31 days in the billing cycle. Check your bill, not 33. These are important matters. And then Jesse Limtiaco commenting on Kellis's call. Yes, pay up, feds. Gary comes back. Let's see. Our water has culture. And Andrew talks about earned kilowatt credits. Not earned income credits, but earned kilowatt credits. Okay, so much for Facebook. Boy, we've really had some electrifying conversations about GPA, haven't we, real Joe Cruz?
Shocking, sir.
Yeah.
Shocking.
I was afraid that a couple of our callers might blow a fuse.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but then, I don't know, maybe I'm just blowing this out of proportion.
You could be over-exaggerating again, sir.
Okay, so Mike San Nicholas versus Lou, Tina, and Maybe. In a June 18 letter to Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, U.S. Department of Interior Secretary Robert Bernhardt urged both the House and Senate to expedite its consideration and approval of H.R. 1365, which seeks to make technical corrections to the Guam World War II Loyalty Recognition Act and expedite the distribution of Guam war claims. Well, you know, Robert Underwood talked about the race to lead the parade. Well, Michael was leading the parade until Lou and Tina decided that they wanted to grab the majorette's baton or mace and get out there and say, hey, look at you guys, all you guys, I'm leading this parade now because we're going to get local funds. We're going to use local funds and pay those war claims, and then we'll figure out a way to get reimbursed when the checks come in. We're working. Tina said, maybe we'll have them turn in a check, and maybe we'll have them sign a promissory note, and maybe when the checks come in, we'll do this, and maybe when other things happen, we'll do that, and maybe when I'm done talking, I'll figure out some way to say something without using the word maybe, but maybe not. That's what Tina said. Yeah. So all of this talk, all of this grandstanding, all of this attempt to get out in front of the parade, do you know what the bill says, Real Joe Cruz?
Nothing, sir?
Not a drop, not a word, not a thing. Yeah. So when they talked, they had a self-imposed deadline. Tina and the governor had a self-imposed deadline by Liberation Day. So I think when people heard them talking, they thought, what they want, this is great. You know, they're trying. They're really doing their best to get those checks out by Liberation Day. That's not what they meant. What they meant was getting the press release out by Liberation Day. So as people go to the parade, they can say, well, we haven't gotten our checks yet, but the governor and the speaker are really, really trying hard. I just heard Speaker Tina Rose Munya Barnes say the other day that maybe she'll introduce a bill. So can we give Mike San Nicolas a round of applause here? Yeah. He had to fight off former delegate Madeline Berdallo, who tried to put the skids under this. He had no support from the Democrats at home. And obviously he was able to connect with the right people in D.C. because he had the Secretary of Interior, a cabinet officer, writing to the Speaker and the Majority Leader saying, could you please pass this for us? So good job, Mike San Nicolas. And at least here on Tall Tales, you're leading the parade. I'll say that with a degree of certainty. I won't have to even use the word maybe as I explain this. Maybe. Okay. Next item on the card here is Linda Uggan versus Patrick Lujan. So Patrick Lujan is going to be the new SHPO. A week after this comes from KOM, a week after the controversial termination of State Historic Preservation Officer Linda Uggan, Governor Lou Leon Guerrero announces she has appointed Patrick Lujan to serve as acting SHPO. Lujan served as deputy SHPO for 3 years starting in 2007. He is the Public Health Emergency Preparedness Program Manager at the Department of Public Health and Social Services. According to a media release from the governor's office, Lujan will be transferring from the agency to his new acting position effective Thursday. That's today. So we now have a SHPO. I realize that this is an important time for Guam with increasing military construction, etc. Our community needs confidence, etc. Patrick is trained in the federal laws and regulations that govern historic preservation, and I trust he will hold developers accountable for their actions, both inside and outside the fence, said Governor Leon Guerrero. Well, if he was a deputy before, he probably knows something about it. According to Adeloop, Here we go again with the anthropomorphization of a location, according to Adeloop. I just have this mental image of those buildings. There's a mouth up at the main entrance, and the mouth opens up and says, Lujan has served as vice president of the Micronesian Endowment for Historic Preservation and is trained in Section 106 procedures as well as in the National Environmental Protection Act. Lujan is also a United States Air Force Reserve Major and the Deputy Commander of the 44th Aerial Port Squadron. If he's a guardsman, no, he's an Air Force Reserve, so he's not a guardsman. I look forward to getting back to work in preserving our historical resources. I'm humbled by Governor Leon Guerrero's test in me. This humility is really important, right, Real Joe Cruz? He's humbled.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You know, I think it's my humility that's allowed me to advance to the lofty position that I hold right now. Don't you think so?
I do, sir.
Yeah. Uggan, meanwhile, has filed an appeal of her termination with the Civil Service Commission. Guam Federation of Teachers field representative Robert Koss is representing Uggan. Earlier this week, he sent a letter to the governor advising her that Guam law states she cannot hire a replacement while her termination is on appeal. And I think what the sentence means is not while the governor's termination is on appeal, but while Uggan's termination is on appeal. Well, there is a one-liner in Title IV that says that, but a couple of problems with it. First of all, I don't think it passes Organic Act muster. If the legislature enacts a law saying that if someone is terminated, that position can't be filled, why wouldn't that work, Real Joe Cruz? You know the answer. It's a
personnel matter.
Yeah, it's a personnel matter. So you have a separation of powers problem when the legislature attempts to get involved in personnel matters.
True.
Yeah. So the legislature can set budgets. It can set conditions to employment, but it can't tell the executive who we can hire and who we can't hire. So I don't think it would pass muster on a separation of powers basis. Second, even if the governor did, well, the governor has, she's appointed Patrick Lujan. The one-liner doesn't set out the consequences for filling that position during the pendency of the appeal of the terminated employee. So it's kind of a hollow remedy at best. Yesterday, I went through my crystal ball prediction about the Linda Uggan matter, and my prediction was that Linda Uggan will be given a suitable ceremony as she is allowed to gracefully leave the office of SHPO, enjoying the showered gratitude of all the activists, allowing them a little bit more grievance politics, encouraging a lot more axe grinding. But I suspect that Linda Uggan won't be back, even though I also analyzed the termination of Linda Uggan as a hard one to win at the Civil Service Commission. Okay, so that's Linda Uggan versus Patrick Lujan. I have another one here from, I've got a story here from the Post. Governor supports buildup due to China and North Korea risks. And the key part here is that Leon Guerrero said she did not believe the economics and job creation narrative behind the buildup was, quote, that great, characterizing the off-island companies that take advantage of military contracts as carpetbaggers. Now, what would possess, I sometimes wonder, is Leon Guerrero in over her head? Does she think that part of the job description of being governor is to stick her foot in her mouth on an almost regular basis? or am I just blowing this out of proportion? Yeah. So she calls defense contractors carpetbaggers. No. So we need these contractors to come over here and build that base, and they're going to spend money when they get here, and they're going to pay taxes, etc. You don't have to invite them to breakfast at Government House, Lou. Maybe they're not your kind of folks. But why insult them? Why hang them with this title, carpetbaggers? Okay, I'm heading down the home stretch here, so I'll come back to Lou and the carpetbaggers in just a minute.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
Hey, welcome to this Subway ad for the new club collection. How do you want it?
I'll take a book club.
Absolutely.
So, last week we sunk our teeth into Subway's meaty new release, the Steak Club.
I didn't finish it yet.
Oh, not again, Sandra. This week it's the new Southwest Chicken Club, also by Subway. No spoilers, but there's a tasty twist.
Jalapeno cheddar bread and guacamole?
Sandra, get out. Subway, make it what you want.
Good ending.
Limited time only at participating restaurants.
So here we are at the call to the post at Churchill Downs, Lexington, Kentucky, heading down the home stretch. Tall tales, that means I got about 8 minutes to wrap this up here. I've been talking about Lou, our Governor Lou Leon Guerrero, wondering if she's in over her head, wondering if she has this overpowering desire to stick her foot in her mouth for no apparent reason. Calling, as this news story says, Leon Guerrero said she did not believe the economics and job creation narrative behind the buildup was, quote, that great, characterizing the off-island companies that take advantage of military contracts as carpetbaggers. Yeah, those folks who had rather shabby luggage who descended upon the South after the war to take advantage of the war-torn, Civil War-torn Southerners. And then Lou goes on to say, they come in and they try to get contracts. Wow, how evil of them. They come in and they try to get contracts, and they do benefit. Not so much with us. We see this. They don't register their business with us. We don't collect the taxes because we don't know, the governor said. Now, this is the same governor who said we don't need no stinking new taxes. We just got to collect the taxes that are on the books. Well, if you don't know who the military contractors are, Lou, whose fault is that? Miss, we're going to really go out and collect the taxes. And then beyond that, Leon Guerrero said she feels there is potential for outside invasion, citing countries such as China and North Korea. And I really fear for the security of our people. Now, I never know who politicians mean when they use the phrase, our people. I have a suspicion, but I'll just keep it to myself. And Lou goes on to say, but with Guam's current political status, any calls for pause can still be ignored, the governor said. Our current political status. And she's also said things like, well, I'm just the governor of an unincorporated territory. But I've pointed out before, it wouldn't be a darn bit different if we were doing this in Hawaii or California or anywhere else. What's going on here is the same process that would occur in any one of the 50 states. There's probably an argument that the governor of an unincorporated territory has a little bit more leverage than the governor of a state, because state governors have a strong on this subject, because state governors are usually fighting with each other to see who's going to get the military construction. How long ago was it? It's less than a month ago that we found ourselves on the Schatz list when Senator Schatz from Honolulu said, "Why are we relocating those Marines to Guam? We should put them somewhere else. How about Hawaii? Hawaii'd love to have those guys." That's how we got on the Schatz list. So Lewis is trying to perfect this case. Our current political status, I really don't have that much power. So I'm going to spend this a little bit more tomorrow, but it's what's called in politics cover. I'd really like to do this for you, but because of the fill in the blank, I can't. So it's kind of like, Mom, all of the other kids got a new bicycle for summer, but I've still got the same one that I had 2 years ago. Can't I have a new bicycle? Oh, Bobby, I really want to buy you a bicycle, but your dad won't give me the money. But if it were just up to me, you would be spinning around with a brand new bicycle right now. But I can't because your dad won't give me the money. So, but with Guam's current political status, any cause for a pause can still be ignored, the governor said. So continually planting this seed, I'd really like to do it. All you guys out there, all you hecklers and all you axe grinders out there, I'd really like to do what you want, but see, I'm a governor of an unincorporated territory, so as much as I want to, I really can't. So I'm just going to go along with the defense interests of the island as I berate the carpetbaggers who come over here to spend money on the island and build things. So that's Lou versus the carpetbaggers. Then there's a really interesting article in the Daily News, front page of the Daily News today, that I call Joe Arnett versus Lou Leon Guerrero. And several parts of the article are devoted to Arnett, who is the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce, explaining the financial impact of the spending by our national government here on the island. According to Arnett, the buildup provides an improvement in infrastructure, more job opportunities, and increased revenue. The buildup will provide some amount of economic production, Arnett said. I think it's going to be a great floor under Guam. Outside of the buildup, about $312 million is invested into Guam by the federal government, according to Arnett, ranging from Section 30 to Medicaid funds. Well, I'm going to come back to this tomorrow, Joe Arnett, and I'm also going to get to Independence Lou versus the United States, which is an item on the card that I didn't get to today, but I will tomorrow. Okay, so there's my favorite song. It tells me it's about time for me to go home and Kosnalango, Sabehano Parigimahu, Sabefutsunait, Sahagunai Real Joe Cruz Konyalango. Ah, Afa?
Ungen.
Okay. Adios, Sister Gupa.